My top 3 favorite things to do in Phoenixville. One is learn about its history. Even if you're not a history buff, you're going to love what you learn about the town, how it derives its name, first of all. It is situated on the banks of the Schuylkill River. It was home to a lot of iron and steel factories back then. The history goes way back to the Native Americans, the Lenape Americans. It's fascinating to learn about how the factories played such an important role during the 2 wars. It provided so much employment. The name Phoenix Iron Works, the Phoenixville was named after, Phoenix Iron Works, which is one of the leading factories from back then. And the name Phoenix is from a bird that, it's from the phoenix that arises out of the ashes. It appears that the owner would see the smelting iron and the flame in the furnaces, and it reminded him of that phoenix, rising up from the ashes. So it was called Phoenix Iron Works, and Phoenixville is named after the Phoenix Iron Works. And it's really interesting that they have a festival every year, a Firebird festival, where they actually have a bonfire, and that is reminiscent of phoenix rising from the ashes. So in the late 80s, the mills had all died down and the work had dried up, and it was a very poor, decrepit town. And once again, it has revived from that into the current thriving metropolis that it is. So absolutely learn about its history. I find it really fascinating. My second favorite thing is to walk down Bridge Street, which is the downtown area. And again, the name Bridge derived from the bridges that these mills used to make for the railroads, and they supplied them all over the country. So Bridge Street is absolutely fascinating. A lot of mom and pop stores, restaurants, and plenty of things to do. They shut off the street on weekends and the crowds spill onto the streets, and it is just such a festive and fun atmosphere. And, definitely go down there. There's restaurants, there's bookstores, theater, coffee shops, distilleries, breweries. There's a little bit of everything for everybody to enjoy there. And my third favorite thing to do is, of course, nature and outdoorsy, because, this is right on the banks of the Schuylkill River. A couple of things that are really fun to do here that are outdoorsy are take your canoe and kayak, and there's a slip ramp right very close to Bridge Street in the borough. You can get onto the Schuylkill River and just kayak or take your boat up and down the river. You can also bike on a pathway that actually runs parallel to the river, and it actually goes through all the way to the city of Philadelphia, through the towns of Manayunk and Kelly Drive, and all the way to the Art Museum area, where you can literally bike all those miles and back and enjoy a gorgeous sunny day along the banks of the Schuylkill. One of my favorite things to do in downtown Phoenixville is the Colonial Theatre. Absolutely go visit that. If you haven't seen anything, a movie or a music show or anything else in the Colonial Theatre, I highly recommend that you go watch something there. The building itself is fascinating. It is worth taking a tour and learning about its history. Of course, just like Phoenixville's history, Colonial Theatre has its own rich history, and you can learn all about it on their website as well. I am absolutely fascinated every time I visit. I love every piece of it, from the foyer and the grand entrance to the actual theater, where you watch shows in a very intimate atmosphere, and just that opulence from those eras bygone. And even a visit to the restroom, just the tile and the retro furnishings, everything fascinates me, down to the people that work there. It is not you go to a Regal or a cinemas and it's a very ordinary experience, and you come here and you're like, wow, you're transformed. So the theater has not only movies, they do a lot of offbeat movies as well. They do local, the music shows, they have theater, they have TED Talks. There's just so much going on at the theater, and their mission is much wider than just pure entertainment. So definitely check out the Colonial Theatre. Another of my favorite things to do in Phoenixville is to follow their festivals. I'll mention a few. One is the Blob Fest. If you read up in Colonial Theatre, you will learn about a movie called The Blob. And the signature move in that is that the theater is filled with patrons who at some point during the movie's running run out screaming from the theater, and it's a reenactment. They do this every year, and it is just fun and fascinating. And if you haven't been to the Blob Fest, highly recommend it. They also have a Firebird festival, again Phoenix rising from the ashes. They have a bonfire, and it's a very festive weekend, and that bonfire also brings a lot of people from all over, and it's a fun thing to celebrate. They recently had something called Mrs. Roper's pub crawl. Let me tell you, just the pictures itself, need I say any more? This is such a fun town, and there's always something fun happening. So 3 of my favorite things: one is the Colonial Theatre, one is these festivals, and the last but not the least is the restaurants. Any downtown area has some lovely mom and pop and even some chain restaurants, but there's multiple breweries here, multiple, I'm going to name a few: Sly Fox Brewery or Iron Hill Brewing, and there's distilleries. There's a Bird Distillery, a flight of whiskey tastings, my kind of stuff. You got to check them out. The Reeds and Company, I'm going to highly recommend you buy something here at Reeds and Company. With Amazon driving all the local bookstores out of business, I would very much want our patrons to promote bookstores like these that invite local authors and have book signings and have staff on hand that will recommend their favorites and promote local authors as well, and engage book clubs in the area. So highly recommend Reeds and Company. They have some coffee shops and antique stores and a whole bunch of fun things to do on Bridge Street. But the restaurants are also the best part about the place as well. There's some good fun food here. Check it out. So my favorite restaurants in downtown Phoenixville, it's hard to choose, but here are my top 3. Okay, first one happens to be the Sedona Tap House. We frequent that place. I absolutely love it. They have a very extensive menu. For someone who's a vegetarian, it is really gratifying to see that there are many things I can choose from. And the outdoor space that they have, that large outdoor patio, is a lot of fun. They have the fire pits outside on cold, spring or fall days, so you can sit outside on the patio for most of the year. For those freezing months in winter, you can have an indoor seating. They have a beautiful bar, friendly waiters. The service always has been excellent. Highly recommend Sedona Tap House. Check them out. My second, another favorite of mine is the Bistro. I just love that whole atmosphere down there. It is, tall ceilings, nice bar, the TV's playing, the local games. If there's Eagles or Phillies playing, it's always a lot of fun. And they also get, excited during the festivals. If it is Halloween or Easter or whatever, they sort of get into the spirit of things, or Christmas. And one of my favorite things to eat at the bistro is the soup, the hearty vegetarian soup. I absolutely love that. And my third favorite is, now this is going to be a very unusual one, and I'm going to call it a generic Thai place. There's a corner of 113 and where it curves, and this restaurant is at the corner of that intersection, and it has undergone multiple owner changes. Every time you talk to the locals, every time you go, it's a new owner. It almost feels like that. It used to be called Thai Place, and then Thai the Elephant, and currently it is called Thai Me Up. Always somehow a Thai restaurant, and always good food and great service. So hey, don't go by the name. If you are at that corner in Phoenixville downtown and you're in mood for some Thai food, that's a great place to grab some. If you were considering moving to Phoenixville, I wanted to give you a little bit of the lay of the land of the area. So Phoenixville is right on the banks of the Schuylkill River. The major arteries, the major roadways that lead you here are 422, Route 113, and 29. These 3 roads will take you to all the neighboring areas. If you had to commute into Philly, 422 is the highway there. 113 takes you all the way west to Downingtown, and 29 is one of the local arteries as well that takes you towards Westchester, and 202 south. It is pretty accessible to all the local areas. The school district is the Phoenixville School District. That is the borough, the kids go to Phoenixville schools, but it is surrounded by multiple other school districts. So on one side, we have Owen J. Roberts schools. On the other side, we have Springford schools. And there are parts, you could be in the Phoenixville address and you could be in the Great Valley schools as well. So there's 4 different school districts in the area, depending on where your home is. They do have the Phoenixville Hospital, one of the best hospitals in the area. It is, I believe, now Tower Health has taken it over the administration. My kids were born in the Phoenixville Hospital. I have a special place for it. Shopping, in terms of shopping, we have the King of Prussia Mall, not too far away. It's for all your shopping needs, from designer, high-end stores to, anything simple as well. And we also have the Philadelphia Premium Outlets, which are not too far away. Between those two, we cover all the shopping needs for the Phoenixville area. So for a family that's thinking of moving to the area, you're pretty much covered. I have been talking about a lot of pros of Phoenixville. It is one of my favorite places in the Philly suburbs. I would love to, share and be a tour guide to folks who are moving to the area. But there are a few cons as well. I believe this place doesn't have the train access that a lot of our nearby cities do, that makes them popular. It is not connected to the SEPTA train station. While there are railway tracks there is talk about actually making Phoenixville an active station again and connecting it to the SEPTA lines, which will take you to Philly for a train commute. Would love for that to happen. Can't wait. We know it's in the works and it's been budgeted, but anxiously awaiting when it will happen. We talked about the 3 school districts 3 or 4 school districts that Phoenixville has access to, but the Phoenixville school district itself is not very popular, and it doesn't rank very high, unfortunately. I believe that this whole downtown area being revived again, and a lot of new construction happening, a lot of new young millennials coming into the area will actually bring the ratings of the school district up as well. But as of now, as a realtor, I have noticed that there's some families with kids who prefer to the other neighboring school districts over the Phoenixville schools. And that may be why, or the young millennials are actually flocking to the area because of its vibrant downtown and the bars and the restaurants and all, the lifestyle that it allows the millennials. So it's a Phoenixville. It's always rising. It's always rising from the ashes and rejuvenating itself. Let's see how the schools evolve with all these changes that are happening. The third con, as I would call it is not quite a con, is the historic, the old buildings are actually in really bad shape, and the Historic Society is trying to maintain the history and preserve the history of the place. And of course, you don't want the buildings to be torn down, and you want the current owners to get their true value, and yet we want to refurbish those old buildings and make them more livable, bring them towards the current building code and standards, while still maintaining the history and preserving it. So that is a challenge, that is a tough task, and that is slowing down the progress of that area in terms of construction. So we have really old historic buildings that need work, that almost tear downs, sitting alongside brand new construction, where everything was razed to the ground, and new cookie cutter homes being built. So it's like it's hard to take sides here, but I guess that's what a revived city is all about, where the old and the new will learn to coexist. So not really a con, but I had to come up with 3 things that Phoenixville is not necessarily known for, and that's my side of the story. Learn more about the local communities and the towns in the Philly suburbs by following my playlist right here.